Welcome back to Prof E Plays. I'm Prof E, and we're going to be starting here today a new series about a new game, at least at the time that I'm making this video. It is called Dreadfarer. This is a game that was kickstarted a little over a year ago, so it's like I know my wife bought me the game through the Kickstarter a little over a year ago. It is still in the process of production because that is how Kickstarter works, right? But they're finally they have released version 0.92, right? So that is what I'm going to be playing here. I downloaded the PDF of it. I will include a link in the description because you can actually buy it now through itch.io if you wish. Right? So the basic idea of the game, well, I'm going to go ahead. I'll just read you a little bit of the text, just to give you a flavor of what this is really about. Okay, so as you can see in front of me, I have a sketchbook because it is a solo journaling sketching game. So here's the front text. Welcome to Lemuria, explorer. Many, like you, have come to these recently discovered lands in search of riches to spoil, knowledge to gain, or to escape their turbulent past. In your pockets, you have all the money you could get by selling what you had and this old sketchbook. Before you left, you promised you would fill it with a tale of your adventures. Did a friend gift it to you? Are you following the footsteps of an earlier explorer that met a terrible fate here? During your trip, you will need to use what little money you have to purchase necessary items, transportation fares, hire locals to help you, or to get yourself out of a hairy situation. Your expedition will end when you fill out your sketchbook, lose all your money, or find your ultimate goal. Or if you die. But I'm not too concerned about that. Just fill in your paperwork. There's a line behind you. So what you need, according to the book, is you need a sketchbook. I have one here. This I bought from the Dollar Tree. It was a dollar 25. And so nothing fancy here. After all, I am not an artist at all. So if you're wanting to see really impressive sketches, no, this is not the place to find that. There are plenty of other channels where there are actual like artists that do this professionally and have skill. On the other hand, have remarkably little practice and very little inborn talent in this particular area, but nonetheless, it can be fun and relaxing. So that's what we're doing. So you need a sketchbook, something to draw or write with. So I have my mechanical pencil here, 0.7 millimeter lead, good old beak right there. And then a D20, D4, and then some way of recording your budget, although they did note that you could use your first page of your sketchbook to write down some character information, and I think it makes sense that budget would be part of that. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. So the first thing you need to do is figure out your character. So the character here, there is actually a list of 20 characters. It is suggested in the book that if you wish, you can choose one of them. Alternatively, you could roll. Right, so I think I'm going to go ahead and just roll it because I like random stuff. So let's go ahead and roll. I've got number six, it looks like. Right, so number six, according to this, right, scrolling through the PDF. Number six, so here's what we've got. Okay, so my starting funds, I have $100 to start with. All right, this is considered a high challenge character. Starting items, nothing. So this is what I want to. This is a great background to start with. I was swindled. This man promised he had arranged for everything once I got here. Come to Lemuria, jewel of the ocean. I'm skipping a little bit of profanity because I like to keep things so that my kids could watch these videos someday. Um, was promised a land of leisure. What is this? Some fisherman's village? I paid him so much money. I need to make enough money for my trip back so I can get revenge. I love this. Okay, so just a couple things you need to know. So I'm having my budget here is currently $100. That means I can't buy very much stuff because I've looked at the equipment list. $100, I'm not gonna get very far. This might be a very short series. Okay, but But the way the story goes, if for some reason you have to stop, either because you die or because you run out of money or whatever, right, then you can pass on your sketchbook to somebody else. You just have a new character. So we do have the possibility here, something like 30 sessions, assuming that I don't get bored of it before that. Okay, so I do this for my own joy. Another thing I need to write down, so $100 in funds. I also need to write down my starting hit points, which is 10 hit points, which that's not too bad. Flipping through, I don't think I saw anybody over like 12 or 15 hit points, I think at the absolute most. Um, Normally it's something less than 10. Actually, I'll do a quick flip through just so you can have a sense of this. So hit points, looking at the different characters. So there's 10. Somebody had 4. Right now, max is 10, minimum is 4 is what I'm seeing. Looks like, oh, here's somebody with 2 hit points. Okay, so I hope you don't run into any problems. Um, and $100 does not seem to be the least. Uh, Either. I mean, I'm finding some people with like now some of these I don't know if they're typos or no, some of these are very intentional. People have like $30 or something like that. So those would probably be very difficult characters to play as well. Well, yeah, I'm not seeing anything over 10 hit points. So okay. So oh wait, no, here's 15. Okay, so there's a 15 hit point character. Okay, so 15 is the most. 10 seems to be fairly common on the hardier side as that goes. All right, so that's our startup. Now, I do want to also mark something else. There is this other trait, I suppose you might call it, we call corruption, which I want to keep a record of as well. Right, so my corruption is currently 0, and that will change. Then I also need to have a place to record possible curses because you can end up cursed if your corruption level goes too high. Okay, so I just want to write this down. You get a curse for every 5 points of corruption, and if you ever get up to, what is it? I believe it's 10 curses, then you're considered too cursed to continue the game. Uh, Okay, I'm just gonna real quick scroll to the different endings. Yeah, I don't want to share this so people can see it because, copyright or whatever. So if you obtain 10 curses, then you just become a twisted being. The afflictions taking over your mind and body. So that means that I need to have space here for up to 10 curses to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So I'm just gonna write alongside here. Actually, yeah, let's do that. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50. Beautiful. So I have space here for curses. Now, because your corruption can rise and fall, that's why I have this separately, because let's say, once I go past 5, I get a curse for that. Now, if my corruption falls back below 5, I'm still cursed, but I don't get another curse when I pass 5 again. Right, so that's why I have it labeled in this fashion. Right, so that I think is going to make some degree of sense, I hope. All right, so I need to take my $100 and we need to plan an expedition. So that is really what this game is about, is making these expeditions and then drawing whatever it is you find there. So let's go ahead and I need to find where the expeditions are listed in this book. There we go. So planning an expedition is on page 28 of the PDF, which of the printed book, this would be page 23 because of front matter and all that. So every expedition begins by deciding upon a location. As you decide things about your expedition, you note them down in your sketchbook to remember them. You choose an area to explore first. Now, you can choose to stay in the same area from time to time, from expedition to expedition, and that's going to be much cheaper. However, at the same time, you don't get to buy any kind of equipment or anything like that if you stay in the same area because you haven't left that area. And now, once you decide on the area, it says first roll a d20 to decide the appropriate location uh, this for the specific place you end up in that location. Each individual location can be revisited multiple times, so that's not a problem, as they contain lots of artifacts that make return trips worth it. Then you roll a d20 on the remnants table for that location, right? For an eldritch anomaly, which is rumored, right, to exist there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my page here. All right, so the four locations are the island of Sarat, the heights of Motag, the humid jungle of Desangle, and the Lazarak Wastes. I'm just going to go to the island of Sarat because it doesn't really make any difference to me at this point. So I'm just going to mark that I'm going to the island of Sarat. Okay, and then I'm going to roll within the island of Sarah. So what we know about the island of Sarah is that it's a large desert island covered by dunes like the waves of a deep sea. The little shade and oasis spots are spread far and wide. Beneath the coarse sands are uncountable riches of gold and ruins. We are not alone in trying to seek them. Okay. Right, so then there's a little bit more additional text here that I'm not going to read all of it again. Just wanted to give you the flavor for it. All right. What we do know is that uh, there are people here, typically nomadic, and they have pack animals known as musif, which appear kind of llama-like, apparently. All right. And recent attempts to colonize the island, mostly by the Dutch, have met failure. Right. Apparently, the sun here is particularly harsh. So we're going to roll then to figure out what location is we are going to within Sra. Location number 6. So I'm just going to make a note here, number 6. Location number 6, the stepping stones, are found atop a hill in the north of the island. These red monolithic rocks have been stacked on top of each other. So this is the stepping stones. I'll just make a note of that. And then I will try to do some sketching of it or something like that. So the stepping stones. So I can't even write very well, let alone draw. Okay, and I want to note here that this is a monument. That is a specific type of environment within this particular location. All right, so red monolithic rocks have been stacked on top of each other, creating the appearance of gigantic staircase. Local legend says that an ancient race of giants built this to reach the heavens and become stars, after which they destroyed the last steps so nobody could follow them. The rocks do not match geologic features found in the rest of the island, suggesting they might have been brought in from somewhere else. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so now one thing though, I am not yet at this location, right? So in terms of the order, okay, so I've selected where I'm going to go, right? Now once I've decided on an area, figured out the location, we also need to roll on the remnants table for this location. So let me find out where the remnants table is. Okay, so this says for straw remnants, it's on page 80, which would be 85 adjusting. Okay, so what kind of remnant is rumored to be there? Let's roll to 15. Again, it's a d20 table. So 15 is is the silver stone. It's a rare deep blue mineral with a silvery glitter. Great care is needed when handling it, as it slowly converts the skin of those who touch it into stone on contact. Certain people in the area feature arms and legs carrying this affliction as a sign of status, which is known among native tongues as the mark of Tsanos. All right, so that is what we know there. Now, we know what we're going to try to find. We're looking for some silverstone. We know where we're going. We're going to the island of Sarah, to the stepping stones, to see if we can find it there. So now the next thing I need to do, right, is we need to figure out what kind of equipment we want and how much I'm going to be paying in terms of travel cost. So because I'm traveling between areas, I do have a couple options. So one option would be a free option. There's an old fisherman, right, that is willing to take me, which is a good cost-friendly option. Other options include trying to sneak onto a cargo ship, or just paying a ship fare would be another option. I could take a plane, or I could also take the blimp, and finally, a submersible is an option as well. In terms of cost, uh, right now I definitely cannot afford going on the blimp, which is a real shame because the blimp is actually a much better deal than it looks like, because when you take the blimp, it's expensive, but they give you a complimentary explorer's kit, which includes oil lamp, a Winchester, and a climbing rope, right? So this is all really potentially quite useful, I would think. But I don't have money for that, so I'm not going to do it. Instead, what I think I'm going to do, okay, I kind of want to go cheap. I think I'm going to sneak onto a cargo ship. Right, so when you sneak onto a cargo ship, you have to pay $5. So I'm going to go ahead and decrease my money down to 95. All right. That is just to bribe one of the dockmen to let me hide among the crates and the like. Now, I am going to have an ocean encounter then, as I set off, but I have not set off yet. I still need to buy equipment. Okay, so equipment. I could get a climbing rope, which is used to climb out of dangerous situations or up to hard to reach places. If you use it, it breaks. Winchester, it's a rifle, obviously, used to shoot dangerous creatures or threaten people. It's $80 though, it's pretty expensive. Plus, then you would need, so it runs out of ammo each time it's used. And then, yeah, the ammo box is $30, so I can't afford. If I carried a Winchester with me, I would just have to use it like a club. Because I don't have the money for ammo. Okay, an oil lamp lets you see better in the dark, so that it also can be used to start fires, which is kind of nice, and runs out of oil after each expedition, so I assume you have to keep repurchasing that as well. Hunting knife, less threatening than a gun, but more affordable. It's only $50. A machete is big and scary, can be used to open paths through thorns and vines. And then Studies on the Lemurian Language is a book allows you to communicate better with the locals. And then I could hire a local guide. Just then, during your next expedition, your guide will help you traverse the perils. During encounters, you roll double dice and then choose the result you wish, and then that person will leave after the expedition. So it looks like so those are all of my options. Oh no, then there's more stuff. Right, so I can get an antidote. I don't know that I need an antidote just yet. Um, okay, it's created by locals, collected by explorers. It combats the many poisons. Okay, so antidote is good against poison. A sun lamp, which okay, that takes batteries. Because so that effectively makes that single use as well. Then a harpoon gun. Oh, that's kind of cool. It's a single use harpoon gun, can be only fired once. It's doubly effective underwater. First aid kit, which restores up to 3 hit points. That's kind of nice. A local map, which what does that do for me? Um, it may help discover safer alternative passages. Oh, okay. It helps you avoid getting lost. And then a compass helps you find your way, allowing you to visit a location of your choosing for the next expedition. Oh, that's kind of nice as well. Then there's other stuff that is significantly more expensive. Things like Motagi, Root, and Whisper Seeker Deal. But those cost hundreds of dollars, and I have $95 at this point. So I don't really. So I'm going to be in the desert. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to be in the desert. These are stairs. I'm not particularly worried about needing a climbing rope at this point. I can't afford the Winchester and the ammo, so that's out. Um, so I think a hunting knife might be a good idea. So that's $50. I'll just mark down here that I have a hunting knife. That leaves me with another $45. I think it would, you know, I really think it would be good to have something like an oil lamp. Oh, that's $15, so I have $30 left. And then I think it's probably good to keep some money on hand because sometimes you have to lose money, and I don't want to immediately say, "Oh, I'm negative money." You don't want to be at that point immediately, right? So I think this is where I'm going to stop. Uh, yeah, because I can always buy a first aid kit later. The odds of me losing all 10 hit points on the first expedition are fairly low. Um, Local map might possibly be a nice thing to have, but again, I want to keep $30 on me. All right, so I think that is that. So then, the next thing we need to do, right? So begin with our sketchbooks. Is begin your sketchbook by sketching out the regular things that you encounter: flora, fauna, natural formations, perhaps ruins. After you do this, roll a d4 on the encounter table pertaining to the area that you are in. So I know that I'm in the desert. So I think maybe we know that this desert is described as having dunes rather like you would find that look like ocean waves. So I'm going to go ahead and draw some ocean waves. Again, I'm not particularly talented at this, right? But it can be fun nonetheless. Yes, I'm trying. It's some form of pyramid, whatever. That's fine. There we go. Something like this. That's not totally terrible. So there are the dunes. Yeah, I don't think I like that here. Yeah, that's all right. Right, so then after I've done that, I roll a d4 on the encounter table pertaining to the area that I'm in. So I need to look up the encounter table for the island of Sarah, and I am in a monument. Right, so there we go. So I found where it says monument. I roll a d4. Right, so it's number two. So d4, monument number two. It says, as you explore, you're met with a sudden feeling as though something is calling out to you from below. Pausing, you fall to your knees and begin to dig, pushing the sand aside as you claw your fingers into the blistering ground. Grabbing a nearby flat rock, you begin to shovel feverishly, throwing the sand behind you. You must find it. You must roll a d4. Got a 1. You break something, shattering it beneath the rock. Looking into the hole, you see a remnant, the echoes of the thing vanishing from your mind. Increase your corruption by d4. So I got 2 points of corruption from that. So my corruption is now 2. Alright, that was my first encounter. I did survive it, which then means the next thing I can do, turning back the pages, right, once you survive your encounter, detail how you eventually discover the remnant you're searching for. After this, roll once more on the encounter table to determine a danger you encounter as you leave the area. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and so the silver stone. So this is just a naturally occurring rock. So I would kind of I want to sketch out the stepping stones first, right? So what I'm imagining here is like we have dunes, we know that. So I'm imagining that the stepping stones are going to look very much like a like a Sumerian ziggurat or something like that. Is what I'm imagining. But I think it goes up and then rather than being more pyramidal in its structure, it's much more like, we're just going up the one side, but then there's just like a sheer cliff on the opposite side, right? So I'm imagining this is the basic structure of it. But then what I want to add to this, okay, is let's do a little bit of vanishing points and stuff. Okay, so that's my general structure. Something like this. Oh, goodness. Okay, and then we're going to have my 2 vanishing points here. So I'm looking at it from the corner, right? Trying to remember what these techniques work like. Okay, so what I'm seeing here, so here's our peak, let's say. And then I'm just gonna have it run basically parallel this way. Something like this, roughly. Um, no, this is not looking right to me. Okay. No, because I want the vertical line should still look like a vertical line, right? It says it's vertical here. Oh, there we go. That's more like it. Okay. There we go. That's what I want. Doing the same kind of thing over here. This is this is getting got an odd effect here. That's okay. Um, as I said, I'm not really an artist. Okay. This is stepping stones, something like that. But then I also want them to be somewhat obscured by dunes. So we got the dunes here. So I don't think we'd actually see the edges with this. Yes, I can't see the top of the dune, certainly. And so something like this is the stepping stones that we're seeing. Now, where am I going to find this silver stone? I think the silver stone uh, makes sense to me. I mean, probably just buried nearby, right? So if I'm going to then sketch out the silver stone, I think the silver stone really is just like a round rock. So I'm just imagining this is silver stone, something like this. I think I found it located here in this dune, buried in the dune near the stepping stones. Beautiful. Okay, so that is what happened there. Now, I do have one more roll on the encounter table that I need to do before we can leave and hopefully survive. Okay, so what happened this time? Three. All right, so three. Oh, I forgot. I was supposed to have an ocean encounter on the way there. At least, yes, I was supposed to have an ocean encounter. Well, okay, I messed up. Well, I will just have the ocean encounter on the way back. There we go. All right, so number three says, as you traverse the sands around you, something glinting catches your eye. You look in the direction of the glitter, shielding your face as the intense light begins to shine in your eyes. Unable to see anything beyond the light streaming from around your hands, you slowly lower it in an attempt to discern the source of the glow. I don't see anything beyond the light streaming from around your hands. Oh, because you're shielding your face. Okay, right, okay. So roll a d4. Three. Lowering your hand, you notice the light was the sun reflecting at just the wrong angle off something half buried in the sand. Oh, so there's a bunch of stuff buried in the sand here. So you roll on the remnant table for what you find. So I got a second remnant. That's kind of cool. All right, so let's see what that remnant is going to be. Flipping through lots of pages. Okay, good. So what did I find? I found number 16, which is the silver arrowhead. So I'm just going to mark that one as well. So we know about this. It is a sculpture made to look like the head of a gigantic arrow, decorated with fine silver filigree in geometric shapes. It's the silver arrowhead. Both the metal and the craftsmanship of this item do not appear reminiscent of Serac culture and may be of different origin. Legends claim that they belong to the ancient inhabitants of the island who now live in the heavens. Okay, well, I mean, it makes sense that might be somewhere near the stepping stones, which allegedly led to the heavens. Okay. All right, so that all kind of fits together in terms of the story. All right, cool. The next thing that I need to do, because I forgot to do it before, was my travel encounter in the ocean. Right, so I need to roll on an ocean encounter. Here it is. So during travel, this is okay. It's just a D4. See what I encounter on the ocean. So this I'm going to say is something that happened on the way there. I'm just retconning. Okay, so the vessel grinds to a halt as it scrapes against a large object. Oh dear. Looking into the deep waters, you see what seems to be a giant hand made of stone scraping against the hull. Finger the size of a boat scrapes a single solid nail against the vessel as it shudders and shakes. And then I roll a d4 again. And number two, you brace yourself against the crate and look back over the side. The hand is slowly sinking out of sight. You swear it slowly closed as it vanished out of sight. Okay. So fortunately, that was not an encounter that killed me, so that none of the stuff that allegedly happened. That's good. All right, so let's go ahead and bring this expedition to end. So the last thing I need to do is figure out what the result of this all is. So after facing the dangers of the expedition, it's time to document the remnant. So we have our two remnants here. Um, right, so I have the silver stone. Oh, the silver arrowhead I should also sketch as well. So I'm just gonna do like a standard arrowhead, right? So made of silver, something like this. Okay. And that's the silver arrowhead. All right, and this was half buried in the sand as well. All right, so during the return journey, we take some time to write in the book again, reflect everything we went through, what we saw, tell a story. Right, so, I mean, I feel like the sketch is not bad. So, just want to write here, so ocean. So, it's scraped against an underwater statue is how I'm going to interpret that, even though I have a feeling that that is making the wondrous mundane. Then, what else do we find? So we traveled the desert. We found a silver stone near the stepping stones. As we returned, found a silver arrowhead as well. Okay. Now, whenever you have a remnant, you have a couple options, right? So we have four things we can do. One, we can return it, which is that we try to identify its rightful culture and place it with the rightful culture, uh, if that exists. So in that case, that allows us to remove some corruption. We don't get any money. We could donate it, in which case we send it to the Lemuria Museum in Montag to properly display it so others can learn from it. In that case, we gain a small amount of corruption. We do get some money for it, somewhere between 20 and $400, depending on the role. Uh, is that right? No, no, no. 20 and 100. 5 and 100. Oh, I can do the math if I try. 20 and 400 is for auctioning. So if you auction the thing, collectors right can buy the thing, but you gain more corruption. The last option would be to keep whatever the remnant is. Uh, I don't think either of these remnants seem like they're going to be particularly useful to me. Um, so I think what I'm going to want to do, neither of them seem like they have a rightful culture or something like that to return them to. So I'm going to try to like split the difference here. Let's take the Silverstone. This one I'm going to donate. Now, apparently, in thanks for the donation, they give me 16 times 5, that's $90. But that means I get +1 corruption for that. And then with Silver Arrowhead, that one I think I'm going to auction off. And that one gets me 13 times 20 or $260. But then I get 3 corruption for that, which that's going to get me my first curse. So add everything up, we've got 4 more corruption. So we're a total of 6. And then we've also got our original $30 plus another 350. So up to $380. Oh, nice. That's good. That's good. Okay, so that means we can probably actually be in a much better position next time. Okay, now I do want to resolve my curse. I figure out what that is. So, right, so you gain corruption. It adds to this curse crack. Right, so I would roll on the curse table, gain that appropriate curse. You cannot lose curses by lowering your corruption. Once the level of corruption has given you a curse, you may not gain curses from reaching that level again. Now, each curse is a terrible thing to have. Curses do not stack. If you roll a curse you already have, you lucked out, you do not receive it again. Instead, you receive an extra 3 corruption. Curses should be noted down in your book. You may incorporate their effects into your future entries. Okay. So let's go ahead and roll on this. It's a 7. Right, so 7. What does that say? It's the tin coin. So the god of misfortune has looked upon you. So I'm going to just call this tin coin. Okay. The god of misfortune has looked upon you. Worthless tin coin has appeared inside your bag, bearing the face of a laughing, wreathed man on one side. No matter how much you try to throw it away, it always comes back into your possession through strange coincidence. Whenever this cruel god wants to have a laugh, the tin coin will fall out of your pocket. If it lands on the smirking man, you know something terrible is about to happen. So every time you use one of these items, you throw a coin or toss a d4. If you land on heads or roll 2 or less, the worst possible outcome happens. So, for example, the Winchester harpoon backfires, dealing a hit point of damage to you. Climbing rope snaps, which nullifies the uh, effects of the rope. An oil lamp starts a fire, which deals 2 hit points of damage to you. A knife or machete, you cut yourself, dealing hit point of damage. Local guide betrays you, leaving you in danger. Okay, well, that sounds fantastic. All right, so tin coin, what that means is that there's a 50-50 chance. Well, I'm just going to mark this as number 7. Just going to mark a quick note with the tin coin. Basically, there's a 50% chance of equipment malfunctions. So there we are. Okay, and that is it for this session. So our first session, we've got our character. We went on our first expedition. You can see my just awful artwork. But hey, it's kind of fun. All right, so that's it for me for now. So this is Prof E signing off.